can't be gay because you're a weak man. You can't lead, you know. For us to be able to contribute meaningfully to governance, the issues of governance, we need to be involved.
So that's where we came up with the Queer Alliance South Africa, for us to have our own voice.
With yours, it's a political party.
Yes, it is.
With you, it's a movement.
You are women, why should you lead? And that's totally not the truth.
You'll find parents that will say, I'm not sending my child to school to be taught about this gay thing.
A month ago was stabbed for being gay, and the people that were trying to murder him.
Thank you for watching our video. This show is sponsored by DreamStream. DreamStream is a unique platform where creators can monetize their video content. All creators rely on support from people like you. Join us on the DreamStream platform to support your favorite creator and view the episode without any adverts. Follow the link in the description for a how-to guide. DreamStream, a place where you can create yourself.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Queer Talk with myself, Tolo, the inimitable one, Mutaung. And thank you for always making time to join us here. We love it when you join us, but more than anything, I think, is that you have to share with others and let them know that we do exist, particularly on YouTube. Recently, we have started to be on YouTube. So subscribe, let others know, but don't forget to leave your comments as well. On DreamStream, we are on existence, and there's always new, fresh content that is there. So make sure that you do join us there. So let's begin for today. According to the African Development Bank, the economy is projected to grow by 1.5% in 2024, supported by the growth in trade, tourism, mining, and manufacturing. And inflation is projected to decline to 4.5% in 2024 on account of reduced fuel and food prices, subject to evolving global dynamics, of course. So La Rose Consulting on the 24th of January this year published their economic outlook report that stated that economic outlook for South Africa is in 2024 is uncertain, and there are many actually different opinions, projections, and assumptions about an equal positive and negative outlook across the elements reviewed for economic outlook. So the lived reality of an ordinary South African is that there are many social and economic challenges that we struggle with on a daily basis, of course, and these include corruption and mismanagement in government, significant unemployment, violent crime, insufficient infrastructure, and poor government service delivery to impoverished communities, particularly high levels of poverty, alcohol abuse, and illiteracy. Oh my word, I can go on and on. And other contributing factors include inequality and injustices, particularly towards the queer communities. So despite the fact that in May 1996, South Africa became the first jurisdiction in the world to provide constitutional protection to LGBTQI plus people via Section 9 of the South African Constitution, which actually disallows the discrimination on race, gender, sexual orientation, and other grounds. We still see and hear of different cases where queer people are discriminated against. Now, the big question is, who can we trust in terms of representing our issues as queer people well in government and in different spaces in society as well? So we have many political parties. Some are new, some have been there, and they stand differently when it comes to queer rights. And some actually are for queer rights, some are not for queer rights. So today we have invited a newly political party called Queer Alliance South Africa and a movement called South African Queer Movement, just to have a conversation about these issues and really to get to understand why do they exist and how how can we find comfort in them, because they didn't just decide to represent queer communities. There is a reason behind, and it's important for us to get to understand that. So on my far right, it is Mongezi Khumalo from Queer Alliance South Africa. Mongezi, good day.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for making time to join us.
I'm always, it's
Yeah.
always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. I must say that I appreciate the fact that Mongezi is from Durban, KZN, so he flew all the way to Johannesburg to have this conversation and to attend to other commitments. And I think this is what leaders do. They go all out of their way to make sure that things happen. So Mongezi is a Bachelor of Laws graduate and a political party leader, amongst other things that he is doing. And then next to me, it is, of course, Kelvin Nkosi, who is a South African queer movement president, right? He is a queer activist and a founder of the movement. He's a businessman and media and a PR professional, and also chairman for Midrand Rainbow Pride, which we enjoyed last year. It was the first year.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for also making time to join us.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you very much.
It is towards elections, and it's a bit, you know,
it's a
tricky. How are you guys doing? How are you keeping?
Yeah, we are living in interesting times where really there is no certainty of anything. You can wake up tomorrow becoming a president of this country, and as a queer movement, we believe that now is the time that we take up space
Yeah.
and stop becoming victims of people talking about us without us. So yeah, I think we should, tap in there, enjoy the space,
Yeah.
most importantly, and participate meaningfully in, in our constitution as well as policy making
Yeah.
things.
Mongezi, how are you? It's hard work, and I know with you guys you work 7 days a week, 24/7. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I've basically never thought it was going to be this much hard work as it is, and we've put in a lot of hard work into going about into mobilizing and getting our name out there and getting our cause. So it's a lot of work. So which I haven't even have like proper rest after doing this whole campaigning thing around our places, so that queer movement people know about us. So it's a lesson at the end of the day. So I'm also learning a lot. So yeah.
So I always wonder when a person get into that space, right? That because it's you give it your all basically when you get into that space. As you have shared with us that also you've learned that there's much more of demands for you. What inspired you to get into politics?
Well, I've always had the love for politics, and I had a background in politics as well with my time in varsity, and also combined together with the activism when it comes to the LGBT community combined, I saw that as much as other political parties say that they are for the LGBT community, but are they really are? So it's a matter of them knowing that we exist, but do they do anything? So that's where we came up with the Queer Alliance South Africa, for us to have our own voice, for our matters to be discussed by us.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we started this whole movement thing.
Yeah. And so with yours, it's a political party.
Yes, it is.
With you, it's a movement.
It's a civil rights movement. Yes.
So how does it differ from a political party?
Okay. A movement is not registered. Our movement basically is not registered with IEC as yet as a political party, because we thought that we need to integrate with the bigger community. We cannot isolate queer to be in an island. We need to, at some point integrate, and so that people can be able to learn more about us, if we are in their space.
Yeah.
So we are not as yet a political party, but we are looking for people that can be alliances to us, so that, we grow, become a big, formidable, political party or alliance,
Yeah.
if you put it here.
I think for me, what I appreciate about both of you is that you give a person a choice to take either route. So it's more like you have options depending on what is it you prefer, in terms of, tackling the issues, particularly in the political space. And the South Africa has always led in terms of legislation that is inclusive. It has happened, I mean, it's since 30 years now, but we know that lived experiences, as you touched on earlier, Mongezi, are not really that inclusive. They're not, we find spaces that are very closed and very discriminatory to queer people. What do both of you think has been the problem in ensuring that, the implementation of the Constitution is done fully to everyone and equally so?
In my regard, for it to be included, I think, as it was done previously, when I would say during the apartheid era, where rules or legislation was made, it was made by the white people for the black people. So then the African community came together into finding a solution of whether they're going to sit or they're going to fight for them too, so that their rights are not only handled by the whites. So they came into action so that they can also have a voice. So with ourselves as well, we say that we can't be sitting in a where legislation is being taken place, where somebody is going to make a decision about us, whereas we are not included. Why are not we included into these legislation being made, so that we can also have a voice and say, okay, this is actually what we would prefer, and this is not what it is, because you have decided, but you haven't spoken to us. That's the reason why.
Yeah. And from your view?
No, absolutely. I fully agree. For us to be able to contribute meaningfully to governance, the issues of governance, we need to be involved. We must get out of our shell. We must put ourselves out there. Most of us are educated, have an ability to lead this country, but you find, queer persons, because of the previous discrimination and so forth, and been, sidelined. We only become considered when really there's a need for them to use us. You'll find political parties putting us into the spaces so that we own a desk, and we are not well enough to lead. So if there's issues of LGBTIQ persons, whether they are raped or whatever that is infringed in them, they will then be given just a space there, or be integrated to some woman desk, or if they are, they think they are women, and so forth. It's just a interpretation of queer. So in order for this for the heterosexual world to be able to understand and accept, our ability, or see our abilities, we need to be involved. Yes.
Yeah. Do you anticipate that there could be some kind of a pushback in terms of acknowledging the existence of a queer political party and a queer movement in that space of political environment, because it's highly competitive, but also you find that the manner in which many leaders think in that space, it's more of, there's always, I mean, you look at how women are actually even, looked down upon or extruded on certain roles, that in many political parties, the main role that they're playing is a secretary or it's a treasurer, and it's difficult to get to be a chairperson or to be, the main leader or the deputy leader of the party.
For me, when we come to in terms of recognition, the recognition lies with us, the queer community. I think some of us would put ourselves in a shell so that we can protect ourselves, because we are afraid of coming out as a person if they know that, okay, this person is gay, and do we provide them a senior position, or will I be able to handle a senior position looking at my sexuality? All those things are taken into consideration with somebody mentally thinking, if am I able to do this? So I would say yes. It's a matter of you're accepting yourself and the people that you are dealing with, if they understand the situation, that you are not hindered in any way. It's just a matter of sexuality, which has nothing to do with the corporate world or any position that you are offered.
Yeah.
So
And Koi?
I'm on my feet, the underdog, and I won't be beat. Turn the lights up now, welcome to the show. I ain't never
Are you a musician?
all I know. My eyes on the prize until I die. I'm gonna rise like
The Dream Stream Music Studio is now available on Sundays for only 295 rands per hour.
we work for a fall in line. We gon' give it all until the end of time.
It includes a 12-channel desk, a variety of mics and cables, electronic drum kit, and a laptop for recording. Terms and conditions apply and booking is essential. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za for a site visit.
Absolutely. We are equal human beings, that has been created by God. And I also believe, that especially queer people, there is something so unique and special about them. God has invested, a lot in them for them to lead. They are smart, they are intelligent, but we need to position ourselves correctly so that we can be able to take up spaces and get obviously credible, create a credible self to become that candidate, or to be exposing an opportunity that has competition to everyone. Because remember, we also a community or persons that are equal to heterosexual, human beings. So we can't be treated special. You need to demonstrate the leadership that you have, that you possess within you. The principles that you possess, the ethical leadership that people should believe in your vision and so forth. So I believe that queer persons are coming up now, for the fact that we are here. We said enough is enough. There is no one that will talk about us without us, and we are available on the space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you give me the answers that you're giving now, I'm reminded of, there's a movie that went out recently on Netflix. Can't remember the name, but it's about Dr. Martin Luther King's right-hand man who was gay, and there was issues that they wanted to to take him out because he's gay, but he stood up for him because he knew of what he's capable of doing in terms of work besides his sexuality, and this then prompts me, to find out from you, do you feel that people that are queer, that are in those leadership spaces, that have been in those leadership spaces, could that they have not done enough to come out to say we are queer, but we're able to deliver, that they pave a way, that probably by now you'd not be working as hard as you're working as a political party to say we are queer, we are here, and we want you to recognize us, and as a movement to say, you know what, we're going to penetrate different spaces to make sure that you get to see us for who we are.
Absolutely. I think there was injustices from, that took place before, where really, affected us as a community, not to really take up these spaces or these opportunities. Firstly, because of discrimination, we are scared of our lives, that should you come out, you will be casted, with stones and so forth and so forth. We know the background that you're coming from. You become a target because they think you are a weak man. You can't be gay because you are a weak man. You can't lead, Others will go to such an extent that, no, ningabafazi, you are women. Why should you lead? And that's totally not the truth. I believe that we should, educate people about sexuality. And as SAK, we have taken a stand that we are the ones that are going to advocate and educate people about us. We have to take the responsibility to ensure that our sexuality is not imposed, but people learn to coexist with the different sexuality or different human beings that were created by God. Because the Bible says, we are all made in the image of God. So we need to allow ourselves to be in the space so that people can be able to learn more about us, and we can learn more about them. Integrate. Like I said, we can't be an island, as queer people. That's why we'll always be, called names, people, because they don't understand us. They don't know what to say. If so, some of them, they think it's a new phenomena, that it's fashion and so forth, but it's the reality. It's not.
And in other African countries,
Yes.
apparently, we paid to be gay.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's mad. It's crazy. So we really need to allow ourselves to really be there, and also, stand. Let's not become victims of no one. Let us stand for our rights. Let us, be visible. You can't hide yourself, because most politicians are in the closet. That's why we find ourselves being in this situation, because once we've been identified as gay, and then
There's a perception
there's a different perception about your abilities of leadership. But it can't be that. It can't be that, because what you do in the bedroom has nothing to do with your abilities.
It is that person.
They go to such an extent, So I think we need to take ownership and making sure that we change this phenomena that is crazy. We are human beings that equally have abilities and that can lead the country.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for that. I'm curious to know that on your side, you launch a political party in KZN, which generally we know as a province that is not so welcoming to queer people. How challenging has that been for you?
Look, when we started, we were working with a lot of students in universities.
Okay.
That's where our most members, if I must say, were from. So we were having matters of how adapting from the current world and back at home. We saw that actually the queer people exist. We all know that. But now it's the surrounding people around the queer people that do not understand what it is. Take, for example, if we look at somebody who is staying at home amongst siblings, gay is just the gay person. You can be the firstborn of the family, but if you are gay, those rights as a firstborn are actually taken away from you, especially if you come from families in which are very a spiritual family and traditional family,
Yeah.
which we have a lot in KZN. And KZN, in terms of the whole LGBT community, I think it's a very touchy situation in which when you talk about it you need to walk on eggshells so that you don't have to insult or get yourself in trouble with any organization or anyone around it. So it's a very sticky situation where we are trying to parade around, but we are mostly gonna do this, if I may say that way.
Yeah. Sure.
No, just to add on what you're saying,
Yeah.
for us being to be represented in a political, landscape, we need to ensure that we educate people about it. But also, we need to advocate that the next generation does not go through the same
Absolutely.
pain that we've gone
Absolutely.
through. How do we do that? We need to be able to tap into spaces of change. For instance, like education.
Yeah.
The curriculum must be able to speak the reality. The health sector must be able to tell the truth and the reality of nature, that sexuality is something that we are born with. It's not something that you choose to. I don't know, maybe other people do choose,
Yeah.
but what in my case, I've never came across a person that would enjoy to be a gay person.
Oh, on that same breath, you'll find parents that will say, "I'm not sending my child to school to be taught about this gay thing." And you then go to the health sector, that you'd find people are being humiliated and belittled when they go to seek, healthcare services, that others have actually stopped because it's a matter of, I get there. Firstly, I'm mispronounced if I'm trans, for example. Then I walk in and it's like, "Oh, you're a guy. I actually thought you're a girl," or all those things. How have you, since your existence, tried to make sure that you actively educate people not only about such issues that you're talking about, but also about your existence? Because I feel that when people know about your existence, it gives them hope that there's organizations that actually are pushing our issues out there.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of what Kelvin has started in Tembisa into the pride in a very dominant place such as a township. Hosting prides in places like that is very, very risky. We tried it in Durban and we started in Umlazi, and it did not go very well. A lot of people, they were very homophobic towards what was going on around it. So the turn up in Tembisa was actually very good. So I think if we start gradually going it, we will get the momentum that we want to get to.
So now we towards elections, right? I'm curious to know that from your sides, what are some of the issues that you'd like to put forward? Whether you win as a political party or you get in alliance with other political parties, but when you get that opportunity to be in that space to represent queer people, what are some of the I would say hot spots that you'd like to really pursue?
Yeah, I believe that South Africa should be the leader in this continent, because our constitution allows us, the privilege, of the rights of queer persons. And I would believe that the world, or Africa and the world, they looking up to us to lead them, because we've been in this journey for some time now. And it's quite sad that we are not vocal enough and we are not on the spaces enough to ensure that, we participate in key, areas of the society in terms of, in industries, and in politics, in business. We're supposed to have representatives in BRICS, as queer persons. We're supposed to lead Africa, as especially as South Africans, because like I said, we've been in the space for some time. We should cut, some of these, ill, injustices that has been happening, because the constitution, really, supports us. So, but coming back to your question is that, what are we going to do? We it's more advocacy, it's more education, it's more us being be available, to serve the people, us being able to make sure that, we take up spaces, and ensure once we arrive on those spaces, we open up.
Need a photo studio? The Dream Stream Photo Studio includes a 2.7 meter PVC backdrop in black and white, and is available for only 115 rands per hour. You can also rent a Canon R6 and lights. All rentals are for studio use only. Terms and conditions apply. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za.
Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Sam Augustine.
Because sometimes we have a tendency as gay or as a queer people that once I'm up there, no one else must come. So we must be able to take everyone with, because together we can do, more. But once you become, and maybe a president of a political party, you are not taking everyone with you. You just want to be there and be seen as, as a king, and and rule over the others. You're not inculcating, the journey to the next generation, and so forth. So I believe that we should really, put ourselves up there, and be able really to take up spaces and lead, especially as South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I'm also in alliance with what Kevin has said. It all boils down to the advocacy, because we're a new political party. We are not saying that we can join in parliament and we'll be able to finish matters as load shedding, finish corruption all in one go. We are mostly affiliated with the LGBT community. Anything that has to do with it, whether in health sectors, in any place that we need to show up, that's where we will be doing the most, especially in education as well, where we see there is a platform for us into bridging into for people to know about what it entitles to be a gay person or a lesbian or whatever. So it all comes down to advocacy. So anything else that has to come, it will come as time proceeds, as we are still a small political party with limited resources, if I may put it in that way. So yeah, it will come together.
I think what gives me comfort is the fact that both of you are saying we need to get out there. We need to be represented.
Absolutely.
We need to penetrate spaces to make sure that our issues are taken care of. And you being there, or your existence says that there'll always be people will always be reminded that, hey, be inclusive. Hey, do not forget about us, and all of that. I want us to take it to the rest of the continent. We've seen recently with Uganda passing the anti-LGBTQI plus bill, and I've heard that Ghana is probably going to do the same tomorrow. and Kenya is also looking into that space.
Yeah.
How do we, as queer people in South Africa, stand in alliance or in solidarity with them, just to give queer people their support in some way? Well, how can we do that from here?
I was in communication with there was one brother of ours. He's in Kenya.
Yeah.
So he's a very well known LGBT activist in that side, who was a month ago was stabbed for being gay, and the people that were trying to murder him, he found out later were part of the government, because the government said he made a lot of noise in terms of the awareness of the LGBT community, and which struck a nerve into me. I was struck by, so why does he have to die? Because he is actually doing the right cause for the people, so that we can live in a non-racist or non-sexual or binary community, so that we all live equally. Which I didn't understand what was the reason for it to happen in that way. But as with the conversation continued, I actually understood his point of view when he spoke about protecting the people from the government. So it's a matter which needs not only South Africa to come together into, but the whole world, because LGBT not only exists in Africa, but also exists in other countries and continents as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a sad one.
Absolutely.
It's quite a sad one.
We as an organization as well, we receive a lot of these messages coming from our brothers and sisters, especially in our continent. It's quite sad that people have become barbaric, towards sexuality, and having to kill someone, just because of how they are born. It's quite insane. It's crazy. For me, it says that there's a lot of work that we need to do, but then we can't always complain. We need to come up with solutions. How do we stop this craziness?
Yeah.
Someone must be held accountable. I believe our government, for starters, must be held accountable as a leader of Africa, as a leader of BRICS. Why are we allowing, such, injustices to happen to human rights?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, because I was taken aback with the fact that South African government went quiet. It's only FF that stood forward to say, Uganda, what you're doing is not right. But our government basically
Did
went
not take
quiet.
a stand. But if we had representatives there, then they would stand up for their own tribe.
Sure.
They would stand up and say, no, enough is enough. We cannot allow someone to do this to humankind. It's not acceptable at all. So that's why I'm saying that as a community, as a country, as a continent, as different, organizations, we need to pull together, and fight against this. It's same as like HIV and AIDS. I mean, we saw it now. The pandemic is not as crazy as before. There should be resources that to educate people, change curriculum, accept the human nature that is, born from God.
And it's only
God
when
is
people
diversity.
have understanding that
Yes,
they can
only
change their
yes,
mindset,
absolutely.
but-
I'm saying we can do it for the next generation, not to go through. We have to start, rolling up sleeves and saying enough is enough. Let's take accountability. Let's take responsibility for the next generation to come and not go through the same, pain that we have gone through.
Yeah. So it's February, it's Black History Month, and I'm curious to know who are those queer people that have, even if it's one person that always inspired you, and why did you find inspiration from them?
For me, it's Simon Goli. Shame, may his soul rest in peace. There's a lot of queer people that really, stood up during those time of apartheid. That we don't recognize. I had an uncle, a queer uncle, a gay uncle. He was cross dressing at that time, and the stories that that happened to him, they're shocking. That he was being stabbed, and he had to even run away from a Lokshini to live in in town, because in town it was more people understanding,
Accepting.
and it was more of a safe space, because they were white people. But in our communities as black people, we were, really oppressed. So I celebrate him, my uncle Lubambisa. He lived up until he was around 60.
Wow.
So 50, 60. So it's for me. I draw inspiration from him, because we share the same
Sure.
blood lineage.
Thank you for that. I think we miss to hear such stories, because really those are unsung heroes that I remember I had a conversation with my grandmother a while back, and she said to me, "We're not seeing this for the first time with you." And she gave me examples from the family, from the community, and I just get surprised when people say it's an African, like, it was just not spoken about, but it has always been there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And who's your inspiration?
As we already mentioned, but one of the people that stood up for the most, and especially in politics, is Mamweni Mandela, for the resilience and the forward we go, backward never motto that she carried. And I wish we can also adapt that when it comes to what we are wanting to start. So inspiration wise, I would go for her anytime.
Thank you for that. So for people that want to join your organizations, where do they go? How do they get to join?
Okay, SA Queer Movement. We are on all social media. We are called SA Queer Movement. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we are also linked to Midrand Rainbow Pride. So if you'll see also when you Google Midrand Rainbow Pride, you'll also see SA Queer Movement on our bio, Enekuruleni Pride, Tembisa Pride, because what our organization do is that we want to integrate. We are not a mother umbrella, but we want to integrate all persons, all NGOs of our tribe, and create a central space, so that we can be able to to be visible more, and be able to share best practices in terms of visibility, in terms of activities that we put out there in the community. So we are forever open to partnership, private sector, community and NGOs and MPOs out there. We are really open for partnership. Come and let us join hands so that we become a winning team.
Yeah. Thank you. Mongezi, for you, if I want to join?
For us, we are also on all social media platforms as well. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Queer Alliance SA. Yeah. So if you just Google that on not Google, if you just type that on Facebook or Instagram, that's where you can in all three, and also on our website, which is Queer Alliance, Queer Alliance SA.co.za.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Lovely.
pretty good.
So that is basically where you can get Queer Alliance SA and South African Queer Movement. And I think for me, what stands out is that we now have representatives that have our best interest at heart. And when they get into those different spaces, they'll make sure that our voices are heard, which is what we have been lacking for years. So as we close, as per usual, we look at the myths and the facts. And the myth, homosexuality is a Western phenomenon. We hear this a lot. I think it becomes like a scapegoat for most people, particularly in the African continent. But the truth is that claims that same-sex attraction is a Western practice are actually false. LGBTQI plus people exist everywhere, in all countries, among all ethnic groups, at all socioeconomic levels, and in all communities, and have for a very long time been in existence. And one of the questions that I always ask is, how do you then make sense of a person who comes from the most rural areas where there's no Wi-Fi, where there's no TV? How was that person taught to be gay? So what is true is that many of the criminal laws that continue to be used today to punish queer people in many countries are Western in origin and are a legacy of the 19th century colonial powers. So this remains the case even though most former colonial powers no longer have these same discriminatory laws in place. Many have replaced them with legislation that promotes equality. So it is a different world now, and what's important is that you see a person for who they are. So thank you once again for making time to join us. Until the next episode, please do stay well and make sure that we keep the conversation going. Do DM us at The Real Queer Talk on Instagram, and also on our YouTube channel. If you are watching through the YouTube channel, do subscribe and also leave your comments. And thank you so much to our guests for making
Thank you
time
for
to come
inviting us.
and such informative and I think empowering conversation that I had with you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.